Hi, welcome to Author's Corner. I am your host, Stephanie Carter, and I am here today to introduce to you an author and a fabulous woman of God. Her name is Felicia Edmond, and she released a book entitled Breakthrough Book of Prayers, Poems and Prayers. And it is just a wonderful read that will inspire and will give you hope. And I'm going to bring on Felicia right now, without further ado, so she can explain to you what she has put in this book, what she has been inspired by, and what is her newest project that's coming up in a couple months. So I'm going to bring on Felicia right now. Hello, Elder Felicia Edmond.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the Author's Corner today. And must say that I was very, very inspired by this book. I
Thank you.
love the read. I love the fact that you have not only poetry, but you also have a reflection, you have a prayer, and you also include a scripture. So for each and whether you're going through depression or you're going through childhood trauma, there's something in this book for everyone. So, Felicia, why don't you tell the audience what inspired you to read this book?
Yes, so I was through the Holy Spirit. I would wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and get an inspiration to write, begin writing poetry, such as rejection, childhood trauma, depression. And there was a lot of things that either I had overcome or I had seen others overcome in life. So it kind of came through the form of poetry. And then the Lord led me to add the prayers, the declarations, the scriptures as well.
Well, it is wonderful to have not saying that they were good experiences, but sometimes we have to go through the experiences to help others who might go through the same type of experience. So it is wonderful that you were able to put this in a book. And so, how did you go through the process of writing the book? What was your thought process, besides you saying that you were, of course, inspired by the Holy Ghost?
Yes, so it was during the pandemic, so it was a time that I decided to just really focus, buckle down, and I would just write different pieces each day. I would set goals, and I would say, okay, this week I'm focusing on these poems, and this week I'm focusing on the declaration. So I had to kind of come up with a process and setting goals.
And did you have any type of writer's block or just occasions when you were just frustrated over the whole writing process?
Yes, every now and then I would, in terms of adding sometimes the declarations and the prayers. Sometimes I just wanted to make sure that they fit exactly what is, to me, the declarations and prayers are almost like an answer to what the situation is. So I just wanted to make sure through Christ that it fit exactly what that situation was. Like if it was depression, that I'm using the right scriptures, I'm using the right declarations. So I just wanted to make sure that everything was in line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, why did you decide to, you said during the pandemic, okay? So had you decided to just out of the whim write a book, or was this on your heart for a long time?
A seed was planted in my heart many years ago. I always knew at some point that I was going to write a book. I didn't know what the topics were going to be. And then when the poem started to hit me, at first I was just like, oh, I'm enjoying writing. It's just therapeutic. I enjoy it. And then the more I started to write, I started to think, okay, this actually could help someone. It's more expanded than just me.
Well, that is great. And I think that as authors, we have that title and that obligation to help others, whether it be through experience, like you said, or like what I did with my book, Trials and Successes, Effective Teaching and Learning at Home. It was giving people tips as well as inspiration as far as homeschooling. And you, of course, you and I both, I know Felicia actually because we belong to the same homeschool co-op. So she is a veteran of homeschooling just like myself. But I think it is important for authors to realize that we are writing for someone else. We are writing for
Yes.
our readers. And I think that is important for us, that since you said you went through those experiences, that is our obligation to put that
Yes.
on paper, and as well as to help others. What do you think about that?
Yes, I do find that because I even found that as people began reading it, I'm thinking it's just going to be used for poetry. But as people read it, they started to tell me that it was like their morning devotion. So that's when I knew that it was like it was inspired by God, and that for me to just like focus on the fact that it's helping other people.
Wow. Well, what was your reaction when you first received that book in the mail? I mean, what did you what was that just that feeling like?
I was really, really excited. And I just thought about how God does exceedingly and abundantly, because I'd always had a picture of the book in my mind even before. But it's like when I actually saw it, I was like, this is wonderful. This is actually coming into fruition.
Right, right. It's almost like a great sense of accomplishment, isn't
Yes.
it? Isn't it? And like you said, to
Yes.
hear people say that they have been inspired and they use the book for morning devotion, I mean, that must be wonderful. Like you said, it's nothing but the Lord.
Yes.
That is wonderful. So, I don't know if you've mentioned this before, but who is this book for again?
I would say the main target audience that I thought of when writing is are people who are hurting or just right at that point where they know that they can break through, but they just need a little more inspiration, a little more encouragement to break through on the other side of the situation that they're going through. So that's kind
Okay.
of the focus. But even if the person is not at that wall where they need to break through, they can still be inspired by something in the book.
Mm-hmm. And as I said, this is a wonderful read, and it is a short read too. I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't
Yes.
have a like a it's not like a year long book of poetry, but it is so full of great content. Then
Thank
that's what I
you.
tell
Thank you.
people. I tell people that you don't have to write a lot for it to be a good book. If the content is there and it is complete, then it can be, it can be not very long at all. So
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
great read.
Thank
So
you.
you released this book when?
It was December of 2020.
Okay, wow.
Yes.
And you know what? I released my book August of 2020.
Oh, oh,
So
nice,
2020
nice.
is just,
Yes.
just seemed like it's a year, even though it's a year of great tragedy, but I think it's also a year of inspiration and growth.
I
Who,
think.
who seemed like were, I wouldn't say down and out, but those people that were underneath the radar are
Yes, yes.
blooming and growing and
Growing. Yes.
sprouting. And so this is great. Now, speaking of sprouting, you're working on a new project. Let's talk about that.
Yes, so that will be a devotional as well. And it's kind of like the next step. Like, so after you have broken through, the next step for someone is to kind of come into new insights. It's a book to kind of inspire people to go to the next level of whatever they're doing or whatever they're believing for. If they feel like they're in their comfort zone, it's going to be poems to kind of inspire people to move out of their comfort zone into what God is calling them to do.
Okay, do you have a title yet?
Yes, so that one will be called Arise.
Oh wow. Okay. So you have breakthrough and then you have arise.
Yes,
So
yes.
I hear a series going on. Is that what
Oh,
this is
yes.
turning into? All right. That is wonderful.
Yes,
And so
amen.
that I mean, hey, let's speak it into the air right now,
Yes,
Felicia. You're about to
amen.
come on with a series
Yes,
of inspiration for all. And we're not just talking about women. We're talking about everyone that
yes,
needs
yes. Everyone can
inspiration.
benefit.
Absolutely, especially during this time.
Yes,
So, Felicia, tell the audience, okay? Well, one thing is that there seems like there's a lot of the pandemic has brought about a lot of inspiration. People need inspiration nowadays. People need a lot of inspiration to keep going. And there have been a lot of people that have expressed to me that they would like to release some type of book of inspiration. So, can you give them a little advice as far as, or some advice as far as how to go about releasing or even writing a book of inspiration?
yes. I would say to write about something that you really care about, that you're really passionate about, because I feel like that'll keep you going. Even though it's something that'll help other people, that you're focused on the reader, but also something in your heart that you're passionate about. And then I would say from that point on to just set goals and just try to reach those goals. But even if you have a moment of writer's block or setback, just get back up and always know that you're not going to give up. I always say that it's good to be consistent with the writing, but it's also good to be persistent and to not, give up, and to always know that there is a finish line. Just keep going each week, each day. You might have a goal. I'm just going to write a chapter this week, a chapter next week, set goals, and then just make sure that you know there's a finish line.
That's great advice. And you know what? You talk about consistency and keeping with it. One thing I usually say is, or tell people that ask me, if you have writer's block or you all of a sudden you can't think of what else to write, work on another part of the book. Work on the
Oh, that's
design, the
good.
cover design. Work on your biography. Work on the synopsis. Just keep
Oh, that's
working
good.
on
I
the
love
book,
that.
in order, because you just don't want to get away because it might be hard to come back.
Right. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, a breakthrough is here. A rise is coming. So
Yes.
tell us how we can get to tell our audience how they can purchase your book and find information about you, Felicia.
Yes, so for my books, they're going to be the breakthrough was already on Amazon.com, but also my website, FeliciaEdmond.com, has links to the books. And I also did some anthologies, so those are in there as well that I participated in. And also, my Facebook is Felicia Edmond, author and speaker, my author page on Facebook.
Okay. Okay, Felicia Edmond, and it's Edmond, no S,
Yes,
Edmond, author and speaker.
speaker.
Okay. One thing I do want to say is that you dedicated this book to your father.
Yes,
So let's
yes.
talk about your family.
Sure. So I dedicated to my father. He passed away back when I was in college, and that poem just came to me, a tribute to my dad, and it just really, it's really inspiring. And my mom, she said she actually reads that poem every day. So I think it
Wow.
just helps her with to keeping his memory alive.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Yes.
wonderful. So I encourage everyone to go to FeliciaEdmond.com and get
Yes.
Breakthrough right now, and look out for her upcoming book called Arise. So thank you so much, Felicia, for joining me, Elder
Thank
Felicia,
you.
for joining. And let's talk about your ministry with your husband real quick.
Yes, so we are under we're elders under a church called Grace United. So we are charged with doing the 8 o'clock virtual service every Sunday, and we have it on Zoom for people that want to see the full service. It has praise and worship and things like that we play, and then we have the sermon portion is on Facebook Live. So
Okay.
we have, and it's every week at 8 a.m. on Sunday mornings.
Okay. And
Yes,
Felicia also gives fabulous little tips and inspirational tidbits on a Facebook Live as well. So please go
yes,
to her Facebook page and look her up and subscribe, or follow her page on Facebook. But thank you so much, Elder Felicia, for joining me. Continue on with the
thank
homeschooling,
you.
just like me.
Yes,
We got to keep each other going, keep
yes,
each other
yes.
inspired. But thank you so much, Felicia, and thank you for joining us, audience, today on the Author's Corner. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Take care. God
you.
bless.